Hello everyone. In this video we're going to cover Necromancer leveling. Necromancer leveling is pretty straightforward. The weapons you're going to want to be using are the Scepter and Warhorn in your main hand and offhand, and your alternate weapon is going to be the Staff. The Scepter and Warhorn is for single target and a few target damage, like if you've got one or two targets, and it focuses mainly on doing lots of damage via bleeds, cripples, dazes, and then also you have Locust Swarm, which will cripple the enemy but also give you swiftness. This is much like the Ranger's skill, where you can use your Warhorn to gain movement speed to travel around, so keep that in mind. The Staff itself is for AoE packs when you're doing events, or if you have a boss mob that you want to stay far away from that is spawning additional adds. Basically, your auto attack is going to do damage to any targets in a line out to the max distance of the auto attack, and then all of your other skills are marks, which place circles on the ground that are basically like traps. If any enemies walk across them, they'll explode and do damage based on what the mark is supposed to do. As for utilities for the Necromancer, you're basically, for leveling, going to want to go with a lot of minions. The reason for this being is that the minions keep the heat off of you from multiple mobs, and they also have quite a few additional uses beyond just doing damage. The first utility, healing utility skill we're going to be looking at is Summon Blood Fiend. Basically, this summons a monster that will do damage to the enemy and heal you for a small amount. You can then also sacrifice the Blood Fiend to gain more health. It's on a 16-second cooldown, so don't feel bad about sacking the thing to gain health every time you need it. The other base utilities you're going to be using are Summon Bone Minions, Summon Bone Fiend, and Summon Shadow Fiend. Basically what these do is Summon Bone Minions will summon two small rat-like minions with skulls. They do a moderate amount of damage. It's actually pretty small. It's like an auto attack. And then you have the ability to use the skill again to explode one of the minions, which does a lot of damage in a small radius. You can do that twice before it goes on cooldown. You have to wait to summon them again. The next one is Summon Bone Fiend. Basically what that does is it summons, looks like a Lasher or a Devourer, scorpion thing. Basically what those do is they do damage at range, and they also, on the 10th attack, will cripple the target. You can also activate their skill to cause Rigor Mortis. What that does is it does damage to the enemy and immobilizes them, but it also immobilizes the Bone Fiend, so make sure your Bone Fiend isn't within attacking range when you do that. The third utility we're going to look at is Shadow Fiend. The Shadow Fiend is just a ranged attacker. It looks like a big ball of gas. You have the ability to activate it to blind your target that you're attacking, and it will teleport the Shadow Fiend to them. So that's kind of twofold in that you can get your Shadow Fiend on the target quickly and also blind them. And the blind does do damage, so keep that in mind when you're using it. The elite skill utility we're going to be using is Summon Flesh Golem. This is actually a really, really good spell. It summons a tanky golem that is ugly, but it does its job. It does a good amount of melee damage, and then it also has a chance to cripple the enemies that it's attacking. You can also command your Flesh Golem to charge a foe, and when it does charge, anything that it comes in contact with will be knocked down, so it's like a miniature stun. That's about all there is to the utilities and the weapons. Let's cover the traits now. The trait skills for this Necromancer build basically revolve around empowering your minions and then also increasing your bleed damage from scepters. What we're looking at is 30 points in curses, 30 points in death magic, and 10 points in blood magic. The 10 points in blood magic is for a little bit more survivability. Basically, you gain 5 seconds of regeneration when your health reaches 90%, and every time you crit, you'll siphon health from your enemy. Looking at death magic, it's pretty straightforward. We're just picking up Minion Master, which increases their skill recharge rate by 20%. Flesh of the Master increases the minion's health by 50%. And then Death Nova is whenever a minion dies, it explodes in a cloud of poison, which will do damage to the enemies. That's about all there is to death magic. Curses focuses on increasing your precision and condition damage, and the bleeds from your scepter. So what we're picking up there is Hemophilia, which is a 20% increased bleeding duration, Banshee's Wail, which ties into the Warhorn. Your Warhorn skills recharge 15% faster and their effects last longer, which means that your movement speed and your cripple will last much longer. And finally, Lingering Curse. Conditions inflicted by the Scepter last 33% longer. So that's basically your bleeds and the final poison on the third attack from the Scepter. That's about all there is to the Necromancer. It's not the fastest at leveling, but it is rewarding. They are a pretty good class once you get used to them. They're a high skill curve. Once you learn how to use them well, you will be pretty much monstrous.